4 people were killed and 23 injured in what was a bad night, even by Sarajevo standards, and particularly bad for the UN forces billeted in the Marshall Tito Barracks. They were attacked by mortars. Observers say it was a deliberate, accurate attack upon the neutral UN troops. Ukrainian forces were living here, and though none was killed during this bombardment, a second Ukrainian soldier died yesterday, shot through the heart by a sniper.
The buildings were set on fire, the UN troops were forced to go scurrying into the bunkers. There was nothing they could do about it. Once again, they couldn't fight back, and all they could do was shelter while their barracks were burning and their vehicles were burning. So obviously morale is not high, and they're quite prepared to admit that.
Daylight revealed that 8 UN trucks had been destroyed, hardware that's essential to the reason the UN are here, to transport food and medicine to the beleaguered civilian population. If the UN are consistently targeted, they've only light arms and armoured personnel carriers for protection against mortars and artillery. Their rules of engagement, they say, allow them to return fire if fired upon, but retaliation's forbidden.
They say that they simply don't have a mandate to take retaliatory action. Shooting back at somebody who's shooting you is one thing, they say. They say they haven't got the firepower, they haven't got the mandate to go and seek out gun positions.
Earlier this week, the airlift into Sarajevo airport was suspended after a plane was threatened by artillery. That jeopardised the whole point of the UN presence. The recent Ukrainian deaths have lowered morale further just when the command has changed. The Canadian General, Louis Mackenzie's left, finishing his tour of duty. Mackenzie was hated by both sides in this war, just as his successor will be, for each side believes the UN's biased in favour of the Serb or Muslim enemy. And faced with the sense that the UN mission might be drifting, some want renewed, urgent action.
I think what we need now is a massive new political initiative, yet again to try and broker some form of ceasefire. The difficulty is, if I understand the press reports are right, that the 2 men who've been killed have been killed by snipers, and with whom do you negotiate to stop irregular snipers from continuing doing the work they're doing?
There are 1,600 Ukrainian, Egyptian and French UN soldiers in Sarajevo. It's one thing to pass a resolution saying these men can protect humanitarian convoys by any necessary means, quite another if the protectors have no real means at their disposal and no wish to use force. The problem arose today when 2 UN armoured personnel carriers were escorting a truck outside Sarajevo. Armed militias simply stopped the convoy, stole the truck and sent back the UN soldiers.
We were a bit of a shambles when our initial contingents arrived in the theater in early March, and it's like that with every single UN mission. It will take time for Egyptians, Ukrainians, and French, the 3 battalions that are there, to shake down, to get their communications lines sorted out. Their commander only went in there yesterday, and they've only been there a few weeks. Their experience in UN peacekeeping is going to be different from any experience they've had with a national unit.
The UN have kept the airport open in this battered city, and they have brought in food and medicine. But without heavy weapons, they cannot protect themselves or the convoys completely. The snipers and artillery batteries know that and appear to be exploiting it as never before.